So we are up to Act Now, Part 4B, Passionates. Story time is going to be a little lengthy, and by the end of the episode, I'm going to talk to you with some bass in my voice, and I'm probably, definitely, absolutely going to ruffle your feathers. Brace yourself. Passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionate newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to episode 5 of season 8, for real this time, of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion, know last necessary, your Get You Right guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for-your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself for yourself and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, affirmations are our first order of business so we can intentionally raise the vibration and start on one accord. Let's get on the same frequency. If you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to take this time to state your own affirmations. I am responsible. I am reliable. I am dependable. I am accountable. I am open to receive direction. I am open to receive correction. I am open to receive instruction. I am ready to purge what no longer serves me. I am ready to heal. I am ready to move. I am acting now. I am well. It is well. All is well. Well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. If you need to run back through the affirmations or grab one of your calm down vices, do so. Today, we're confronting the things and doing the work, okay? Shout out to the school system for actually having school today. We will not be soundtracked by the children next door. If you are a longtime passionate, you know that I am often redesigning and rearranging the studio. The setup works until it doesn't, or it still works, but the vision evolves, and as time goes on, I see where I could, should, or absolutely have to make changes. So there were things that I purchased for the gala that are still completely viable. They're already paid for, they're taking up space, but they're not being utilized. First, I had to ask myself, why am I not using this, and how can I use it most beneficially? Sometimes, when we have negative feelings attached to a thing, the way to negate, eliminate, or neutralize the negative energy is to be able to do something new or different with that same thing, right? That's a passion point. It's also a simple explanation of transmutation. Instead of living in one energy field, intentionally shift the energy so that you're not bound to the negativity of it, and then you can move on to higher heights, greener pastures, or whatever it is you want to call it. For the gala, I had multiple backdrops made, and even when the documentary is released, you still won't see all of them because ... Nonetheless, of the 3 I had made, 1 can be used at any time. I have backdrop stands, but for where I wanted to place my backdrop, the stands don't allow for easy mobility. Neither do they allow for me to get around the backdrop itself easily, and I still wanted and needed to be able to access the space behind the backdrop once it's hung. So I started thinking the ideal setup would be something that would allow me to roll the backdrop up and down like a window shade. So I was definitely about to overcomplicate my life and try to figure out a DIY hack to create it. But instead, and very gratefully, I went online, I searched backdrop roller, and a nice list of options, including manual and motorized, popped up. I have a photography kit, but I'm not a photographer, so I didn't know any of this was a thing. So praise the Lord. Okay, I look at several, I read the reviews, I decide which one I want. It doesn't come with the pole that the backdrop will inevitably be mounted on, but that's okay. I'm thinking, well, I can use the pole from my stand and possibly save a few dollars. I can't, but I won't find this out for another paragraph or so. Okay, my biggest issue, or so I think at the time, is that the backdrop is about 8 feet wide and the space where it'll be hung doesn't have a wall for me to mount it on both sides. It'll be covering a space that is less than 8 feet, so the mount will have to be affixed to the ceiling. No problem. I watch the review videos and I see it's easily mountable to the ceiling. All the boxes are checked. I call Josh, who's part of the WOWD build team. Shout out to him for mounting my sound panels, which are still hanging beautifully in the background of most of our episodes, and a few other major installs. I show him the roller system I found, and I ask if he can mount it. He says sure. Now it's time to pull the trigger and order. Huzzah! I receive the package. Josh comes to the studio. We do careful measurements. Then he gets started doing what he needs to do for the install. A little insight. The hardware comes with these concrete screws that have this casing that once you get it into the ceiling and the screw is fastened, they might not come back out. And if they do, one of two things can happen. The area will be damaged, or the casing, the screw, or both might be damaged. None of these are good options. So what happens? Josh is moving and shaking and has 3 of the 4 for the first side of the mount installed. I've now figured out the pole I have will not suffice for this system, so I'm back in the rainforest looking for the pole. And what? All that careful measuring for nothing because kablooey, pow, pow. The pole is 10 feet long, and while it comes in 3 parts, it's not collapsible or telescoping. We measured for the backdrop. My fault, not Josh's. The backdrop is 8 feet. The pole is 10. The mount has to be measured for the pole that I don't have, because for all the researching I did, I missed that critical detail, and I don't know why I didn't think to use the pole that came with my stand. But it no matter. Point is, 3 of the 4 concrete screws are already in, which means they have to come out, which means either damage to the ceiling or damage to the screw. And we end up with a little of both. Now we need new screws so we can get the mount installed, but the pole still isn't ordered, so we're still flying a little blind, courtesy of my haste. Nonetheless, we figure we'll at least see if we can get the screws from the hardware store, or if replacing them is going to be another production. We look online, we find suitable replacement screws at a local hardware store. We go get them the next day. While we're in there, we also pick up an uncut PVC pipe so we can get a better picture of where this mount actually needs to be placed. A better picture, not a perfect picture, because the PVC pipe is a little over 10 feet, but some simple math will fix that. We get back to the studio, back to measuring and installing. New roadblocks. The replacement screws are not doing what we need them to do. And when we did the first 4 holes, we were working on the left side of the closet. But since the right side wasn't going to move, we started on the right side in round 2. Only, there's something in the ceiling that won't allow for us to drill any further. Maybe some rebar, we don't know. So again, we are back at square one. So Josh says, okay, what we'll do instead is we'll mount 2 pieces of wood, one to the other, both to the ceiling, then mount the mount to the wood. I say, okay, sounds good. A few more trips, some tool retrieval, and some additional hardware later. I say, before we get to doing any more drilling or anything else, should we just wait until the pole comes? This way, we have an exact measurement for the other side, and we don't have to make any other changes. Josh is 100% in agreement. I say great, because what was supposed to have taken 15 minutes, allegedly, according to the reviews, is taking hours and days. I'm frustrated, and I'm ready to throw everything in the garbage. I've been up and down the ladder a few times, but I'm not even the one doing the drilling. I'm on the sideline and simultaneously working in a whole other room on a whole other project related to the studio, but not related to this backdrop. But I'm still frustrated because I thought I'd done the right foundational work and proper research before I made the purchase. And while I didn't order the pole under the assumption I'd be able to use something I already had, and I probably could have if I just wanted to display the backdrop but not be able to roll it up, because I want to be able to roll the backdrop back up, it has to be on a pole that fits on the rollers. That was the disconnect. Passion point. For a project, read all of the instructions, account for all of the pieces, how the pieces are assembled, and make space for all of the parts. Passion point for life. While a substitute might be a good fit might not necessarily be a good substitute. The pole that I have will go across the length that I need it to go, the good fit, but it wouldn't have provided the rolling function, not a good substitute, which was a critical aspect. It would have only been a temporary placeholder for a partial job. And that actually ended up happening with the pole that we got, but that's a whole other. The next obstacle was that I also wanted to reposition the desk again. Now, my desk is not a traditional desk. I'm an avid repurposer. What does that mean? I don't throw things away just because I can't use them the way they were originally intended.
Message.
I try to find new and or as many different uses as possible. So one, I get all my money's worth out of it. Two, so that I'm not spending resources on something I could have made myself. And three, I'm not throwing away something I'm going to turn around and buy all over again and possibly for more money and poorer quality. Passion point. When you're in the beginning stages of building something, or when you're in a stage where you know finances are not flowing as readily or as steadily, it is so critical for you to think of ways to be more economical. So if I do have to buy things, I'm looking for things that are multi-purpose so I can get as much bang for my buck as possible. So I had this closet that fell apart because there was too much weight in it and I didn't have the proper support for the weight load. Now, I made this mistake twice, right? This is the second time I purchased the closet. The first time, I threw the whole thing away because it was destroyed. The second time, I salvaged every piece of that closet that wasn't damaged. I'm talking about every door, every shelf, the fittings, all the hardware. I don't even know how to use some of those fittings in another project, but if I ever needed to, before I have to run out and go buy something, I can first look through what I already have on hand. Point is, I repurposed one of the doors as the tabletop and did a massive assembly project using multiple cube units as the base. Now, remember, I told you in last week's transparency episode that it took a whole archaeological dig to locate this footage, but I did. The issue is that while the cube units can hold significant weight, moving the cube units with all of the weight on it can pose challenges, and did. Moment of honesty. I tried my best not to take anything off this unit because that would have been the equivalent of clearing a 5-foot table, then emptying a 5-foot bookcase. So instead, I tried to move the cube unit with everything on it. Passion, isn't that kind of lazy? You know what passion is? It is. But it was so much work doing everything else. Wherever I could just skip a little bit of labor, whichever corner I could cut, I needed to cut it. Every room in my house was already in complete chaos, and I was trying my best to just get this one thing done without making it a major takedown rebuild project. But every time I tried to move the unit, one of the bottom shelves became dislodged from one or more of the affixing connectors, or because some of the shelves are not bound by the actual connectors that hold them together. Rather, they're being held together by the zip ties to create the space or the side that I needed, and there's only so much stress the zip ties can handle before they start to pop. Zip ties are popping. And if I don't recognize the kaplooey pow pow potential quickly, ultimately, the whole thing is going to become dislodged and then collapse. Keep in mind, my door/desktop is only atop these cube units, not attached, not affixed, just atop. And I didn't take everything off the desktop, and I didn't take the desktop completely down. So I'm literally dragging half of the unit, then sliding the tabletop over, then dragging the other half of the unit, and the bottom is coming out of one cube, the zip tie popped on a different cube, all kinds of things are happening, and this is shaping up to be a whole calamity. Now, I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's not that much stuff on this, and this stuff isn't really that heavy, so it should have been an easy move.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And then once that blows up in my face, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is heavier than I thought it was. But I'm trying to figure out, what is it that's making it so heavy? Like, where's the disconnect for me that I didn't realize that this was as heavy as it is? I see I have a lot of folders, but folders aren't really that heavy, right? I have a pack of printer paper, but even combined, that shouldn't add up to all this weight. But I didn't account for the papers inside the folders. Because at a glance, some of the folders don't look like they contain all that much weight. When you open them, though. Go all the way back to season 1, episode 2. We talked about unpacking the bags and being mindful not to neglect the boxes, right? Thing is, I forgot about the papers. The folder isn't that big. It has maybe 100 sheets of paper, but it doesn't look like that much until you have 3 folders that all have 100 sheets of paper and a paper packet that's 100 sheets. And you stop looking at how few folders you have, but how many pieces of paper. And that's just one cube. Then you start to really take account of the subunits within the cubes. Passion public service announcement. On behalf of your spoken word artist and poet friends, please stop buying them notebooks. I promise. They have so many, and they are so polite and they're appreciative. So they probably not going to tell you this. But unless you are getting them like personalized stationery, please stop buying them notebooks. The very thoughtful, very sweet, teeny tiny journals you picked up from Dollar Tree because you wanted to make sure that you didn't show up empty-handed. Thank you, but enough. Unless you are getting them something customized, please stop buying them notebooks because they have 10,000 of them. And if they're not a person who journals or they're a digital journaler, it's just collecting dust, it's just taking up space, and it's weighing things down. I'm telling you what I know. Personalized stationery, or if you really want to get fancy, a custom, eclectic, or expensive pen. They'll love you for it. You'll thank me later. Back to the episode. All of these things that even collectively don't seem like a lot and don't seem like enough that I'm not going to be able to move this unit if I don't remove the stuff are rapidly proving that I'm not going to be able to move this unit if I don't move this stuff. Passion point. The thing that's holding you down and anchoring you in place is also tearing you apart. And sometimes even more detrimental than the cumulus of pages are the words on those pages. Passion point. 3 words on 1 sheet of paper can weigh more than 3 cases of paper. A lot of us are dealing with major issues, and because so many things are so challenging, we just need something to be easy. So we look for the shortcuts. And sometimes you'll still be able to move the thing, but you're going to make a mess in the process. And something is going to end up falling apart. The shelf is going to dislodge from the connectors because the connectors are only there to hold the pieces together and to give the unit stability when it's standing still, not when the unit is moving.
Message.
So when the unit is being dragged around and pushed around and the unit already has all this heavy stuff on it, the connectors aren't breaking because the connectors are strong. But while all the pieces are strong, they're not meant to be moved the way you're moving them. And until you unload some of that weight off the unit, it'll seem like the connectors aren't doing their job because you didn't do yours. Go on and clap for that because that just preached. You keep trying to skip some steps, you'll have to keep doubling back. And it might not even seem that bad at first because, yeah, you're doubling back, but you only have to move the stuff off a shelf or 2. And that's cool here and there. And when it's only 1 or 2 shelves, but when it ends up being a whole unit, it probably would have been easier to take everything down in the first place. Now, for me, I'll be honest, I didn't want to take none of that stuff down for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is, yes, it was going to be a lot of work to put it all back. Another reason is because I knew I didn't want to wipe everything off. Now, remember,
we were drilling into the ceiling. Remember, we were going to do a whole build out in this closet for the recording booth. You might not remember that because you might not know that, but now you do, okay? So there's plaster and dust and debris that have been flying and have settled all over stuff that was under the desk. Truthfully, I didn't want to touch it because I didn't have it in me to do a thorough cleanup. I was already doing a lot. As a matter of fact, I was already doing enough. I didn't need any more. I was trying to avoid just one thing, just give myself just a little bit of a reprieve. And for all of that, I still ended up taking just about everything off the shelves and out of the cubes and putting everything on the floor and still not wiping everything off as I knew I wouldn't from the beginning. Judge me not. What I didn't know was just how much needed to be wiped, which was just about everything. Namely, these papers. We're circling back to them. Now, have you ever tried to dust a piece of paper? You know what you end up with? Dusty paper. It's giving country singer name. I ended up having to take almost everything off of the desk as well because everything that I tried to avoid doing, I ended up having to do. I didn't think the papers in those folders were that heavy. The binders and the baskets, okay, but I underestimated the other miscellaneous papers. But looking at it, especially as I kept having to remove more and more items, I thought to myself, part of why we're not healing right is because our emotional papers, we don't think they're carrying as much weight as they actually are. We're not considering how many individual papers there actually are. And every page is just more weight. And some of those papers we don't even need. Some of those papers we don't even know where they came from or who they belong to. They're not even ours. We should have been gotten rid of those papers, but for whatever reason we didn't. Now, the papers are making the folders heavy. The folders are making the unit heavy. And the unit is now losing its ability to support something. And now we need to move the unit. And if we don't dismantle the whole thing and really go through and see exactly what's what, what's where, what needs to be retained, what needs to be released, if we don't throw some of these papers away, recycle them, or make some kind of use of them, something that needs to be moved won't move. And if it does, it's going to fall apart as it goes. Passionates, in case you missed it, you're the unit that needs to move, and the papers are your thoughts and your feelings. You're holding on to fears that aren't yours. You're carrying resentment from third grade. Okay, actually, it's me. I told y'all before I'm still mad that girl stole my crayons on my birthday. You're harboring disdain for people you've never met, condemning faith systems you know nothing about because of someone else. How many pieces of proverbial paper are weighing down your unit, yourself? How many times have you tried to move from there to where and felt torn? I know one of my people been trying to relocate for a long time, and I thought of them as I was composing this. I wonder what folders in them are neatly organized but full of stuff they don't need. Like, yeah, you emptied the closet. You could pack up the apartment probably in a couple bags. You'll probably leave the furniture and the dishes because you want a fresh start. But there are some folders on the shelves of your life, and they're probably neat and organized. You're going to have to open them folders. If not, you might be able to move, but things will fall apart in transition because the folders are weighing the unit down. And while the unit is strong and the connectors are strong, the unit isn't breaking per se. The connectors aren't breaking, but the unit as a whole is unable to stay together because the weight is weighing down one shelf and part of the unit is being dragged, but the base is being stagnated by the weight. Start recycling, start shredding, start discarding, clear it out. All right, this way I'm about to get in your back, okay? Safe space. Not a delicate one. Here we go. I wasn't sure how I wanted to approach Act Now, Part 4B, Health and Wellness. But like I said before, every day I get RIP notifications from Facebook. Now, mortality might not be at an all-time high, but the numbers of these RIPs can't just be alarming to me. Like, I just don't believe that. As the sirens go off in the background. How are y'all dealing with this? Because if sadness, shock, or depression, inability to process, inability to cope, inability to go on. If that's what you're putting up on Facebook, if that's what you're allowing the world to see, I can only imagine what you're not allowing the world to see. So how are you dealing with this? Is anybody signing up for therapy? Is anybody signing up for grief counseling? Does anybody have somebody, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist, a counselor, a group, some type of outlet, some type of space where they are able to communicate openly and honestly about how they feel and get some assistance with it? What are you doing? You don't have time to wait. The mind is fragile, and there are a lot of manipulations happening right now, especially to our mental health, intentionally. And beloved, if you are not taking care of your mental health, it is very easy to lose it, but it's not as easy to recognize that you've lost it, and it may not be very easy to reclaim it. You ever been to a mental health institution? Because if you have, you know what the experience is. I'm sure you've heard people say you don't want to be in some of these places too long because people in there that are facing some of these challenges will tell you,
I'm not crazy.
and they'll have you screaming,
I'm not crazy.
to where the people inside will try to sedate you and keep you on a psych hold. How many friends do you have that are mentally unstable? And I'm not talking about people that like you laugh about and you say, oh, nah, this person is bugged out. I'm talking about people that you know they're navigating imbalance and everything about their behavior says this person is mentally unstable, but for whatever reason, they don't see it. I had a friend who suffered from bipolar disorder, and they didn't like the medicine because the medicine made them feel not like themselves, right? That's something that you hear a lot when people are talking about the medicines that they're prescribed. They don't feel like themselves when they're medicated, so they'd rather deal with the highs and lows of their affliction than feel like an alien to themselves. So for somebody who might not realize they're in the midst of an episode, or maybe they do, or that they sound bugged out, they don't know what that experience is like on the other side for you because they don't know that there's anything different for them. Am I making sense? Like, are you doing something to protect your mental health? Because the powers that be are not. Are you doing something to protect your emotional health? Some of us are cutting people off right now. We're not speaking to people because this person doesn't call me. This person doesn't check in on me. This person doesn't. How many of y'all are Edward Scissorhands in 2026? Let's look at this. I have a friend who I hadn't spoken to. A couple times I reached out, they didn't respond. And then when we did speak, they didn't sound like they wanted to be bothered. Maybe they were distracted, but it was clear their attention wasn't too much on our call. And then they were like, I'll call you back. They never called back. I don't remember if I reached out to them again. I feel like I did. Regardless, they were leaning on my mind. They sent me a text message and said they just wanted to check on me. I said, I didn't want to bother you. Last time we spoke, it seemed like an intrusion. And they were like, what? No, we've been friends for too long. It's never that. They asked how I was doing, and I told them the last couple of months have been rough, but it's turning around now. They were like, the last few months have been rough for me too. Did you know we were displaced by a fire? No. I didn't, because who's going to tell me? We're not active in the same social spaces, and I haven't been very active in any social spaces other than YouTube, and y'all see what that's looked like for the last year. So imagine if I would have taken the position when I reached out, they don't respond, so I'm not going to talk to them. The whole time, getting back to me probably wasn't a priority because they were probably focused on managing their family, navigating their new living situation, and so on. So when I tell you, act now with your relationships, and I say make the phone call today, I'm telling you that if you don't make the call today, tomorrow might be too late. I'm telling you that because something's happening that you're unaware of, but you're writing somebody off who's going through something major, and that's why they're unresponsive and unavailable. The world is falling down or already fell down around them, and they're just trying to figure out how to stay right side up in the upside down, or they're trying to figure out how to keep standing and extract what they can from the rubble. I don't want to clean up dust and debris from drilling the walls and the ceiling. I can't imagine having to pick through whatever after a fire, and I don't want to. So knowing that that's not even something I would want to consider, I can't even imagine having to do that when it's your whole life, your whole home, and you got to retrieve whatever you can and leave everything else behind. What are you doing for your mental health? Are you acting now? Will you act when the episode ends? Or are you going to procrastinate more, telling yourself you have all the time in the world while watching time run out on people, businesses, and everything else around you? Have you been dealing with depression for years? Are you dealing with the same depressive situations for years? Are you still dealing with the same heaviness and the same sadness that you've been carrying around? Because
every time this time of year comes around, you go through this.
have you done something? Have you taken any steps? Have you made any attempts to try to heal from that? Or are you holding on to the brokenness? Are you acting now, or are you waiting until it's too late? You will always find somebody to side with you and say it was somebody else's responsibility, job, fault, whatever, to be there for you, to be available to you. Well, I'm being available to all of y'all right now. I'm holding you accountable. What are you doing? Because it's nobody's job to do it for you. What are you doing for you? How are you showing up for yourself? Are you showing up for yourself? And if you're not, what is it going to take for you to realize that while time is not your enemy, time does not take its marching orders from you either? That's a passion point, and that will most certainly preach. So some things I want you to think about, passionates, okay? Act now with your mental health. Act now with your physical health. I recently went to a funeral, and on the interment wall, I noticed there were a lot of people in the wall whose dates of birth weren't that far off from mine. And I just don't understand. What are you doing towards your physical health? A lot of us are slack on our mental health. So are you at least being proactive about your physical health? When was your last physical? Did your doctor recommend that you go see a specialist? Did you go see the specialist? When was your last dentist appointment? Did they say you have cavities? Did you get the cavities filled? Or is your breath still stink because of the decay in your mouth? You still need that root canal? When was your last cleaning? You go to the dentist regularly and your breath smells crazy. When was the last time you went to see a gastroenterologist? When was your last colonoscopy?
Oh, nah, because I'm not old enough.
Keep making excuses. Did you even ask them if you could get the appointment? Or you just running with the...
Oh, nah, because they said I gotta be this age, so that's why I ain't go yet.
So when you turn that age, you going? You have it on your calendar. It's scheduled for 2 days after your birthday. So you could do the turn up, then you could do the prep, then get the colonoscopy done, or nah. Or you gonna wait until the cyst ruptures and the polyp becomes cancerous. Your stomach is good, your colon is clear, and your breath still smells like hot garbage. That's probably that wall of mucus in your sinus cavity. You cutting back on the dairy? Cut back on what's causing the mucus. You cut out what the mucus causes, like inflammation, huh? What you said about Arthur?
Arthur, a colloquial reference and abbreviated name for arthritis.
What you doing? Other than feeling attacked by this episode. Because offended or not, you know full well this isn't an indictment. It's a lot of things that I haven't done, right? So I'm taking the steps now too. When I ask you these questions, I'm holding you accountable at the level I have to hold myself accountable. Some of these questions I have the know-how to ask because I dropped the ball. So I'm asking you collectively, passionates, have you done the work? And if you haven't, when do you plan on doing it? Because if somebody don't talk to you like this, you're not talking to you like this. You're not fixing the problem. And then what? You going to be next on that wall? You going to be the next RIP post? Because for real, I don't have the bandwidth. A safe space, not a delicate one. We are not here to make people feel good. We're here to hold ourselves and others accountable and push them to correct themselves. Set the doctor's appointment. It don't matter if you're scared. Remember the episode about uncomfortable conversation? I think I referenced it in this season's premiere. But if I didn't, the link is here. But if you did see it, what did I say? I was so concerned about how the person might respond. Sometimes we're so concerned about how they might respond. We evade the conversation altogether, or we never tell the truth because we're afraid that they might throw us away. And after it's all said and done, we have the conversation, we tell the truth, and they say, oh, wow, okay. And that's it. So you scared to go to the doctor, and guess what might happen? The doctor gets your results and says,
You need to cut back on the sugar. You're not diabetic yet. You are borderline. This cholesterol is high. This cholesterol is good. And everything else is within range.
So see, Passion, that's why I don't need to go to the doctor.
if you're insured, physicals have no copay. You run and grab everything else they tell you is free, but something that can give you some insight to what's going on internally. That no-cost service is the thing you're dodging. You're terrified to go to the doctor, and it just might be all good news or an advisory to correct something that's a simple fix. Long-term passionates, OG passionates, does any of this sound familiar? It should. Remember season 4, episodes 2 and 3? Decisions. The irresponsible decisions you're making right now are going to long-term not only affect you, but everybody around you, because everybody's life gets thrown into the dryer with the tennis balls when now that you've lived your life the way you wanted to, but you can't anymore. It's now everybody's responsibility to help you get back and forth to this doctor's appointment and up and down these stairs and in and out of these clothes and in and out of this hospital and back and forth to these specialists. Huh? Are you acting now? Are you taking steps to fix that now so that you never have to be in a position to feel like a burden to somebody else? Make the appointment for the physical. Make your dentist appointment. Set up your specialist visits. Act now. You have life insurance? Or you still talking about life insurance is a scam? Is it a scam because you have to pay for it and you can't afford it? Riddle me this. Do you know how much a burial costs? I'm going to tell you what Google told me. The average cost of a traditional full-service burial in New York is approximately $8,500 to $10,000, with prices often higher near New York City and on Long Island, averaging around $9,744 in some areas. This generally includes a casket, viewing, and transport, but often excludes cemetery plots and headstones, which can add thousands more. I found this breakdown on funeralocity.com. So if you want to do some additional research, you can look there. But are y'all looking at these figures? Are y'all looking at these expanded explanations? Now, passionate, I know you don't think I go to work every day so that I can spend my money burying you. I know that's not what you think. When it's time for the funeral, everybody got an opinion on how somebody should be buried and how somebody should be memorialized and how somebody should be interred. Everybody has an opinion, but those same people with opinions never have dollars. Huh? So are you leaving something for your survivors to be able to bury you? Or you think somebody's going to work every day and building up a savings account so that when you die, you don't have to go in Potter's Field? You have term life through your job, because that's usually free, or credit union. You have whole life or universal policy so that you can borrow against it if need be. What actions have you already taken? What actions are you taking right now? You got the insurance policy? Great. You have the will? Even better. You set up the trust? You on fire. Is the trust funded, or is that the hard stop? The same way how you keep your nails and your hair done, keep your mouth, colon, stomach, and heart checked. Get your blood work done. Get the $15 a month policy with a $50,000 death benefit before somebody got to throw you in the fiery furnace and put you in a box, not because you wanted to be cremated, but because that's all they can afford. And make sure the instructions are clear in the will and the trust. Make sure the beneficiaries are elected and clearly notated. These things are uncomfortable and unnerving and depressing to hear right now. But guess what? If we don't talk about them now and we don't fix them now, they're going to come back to haunt us later. And then it's going to be coulda, woulda, shoulda. Do it now, because if you do it now, it's on your terms. And if you wait until another time, it's going to be on whoever else's terms. And you're probably not going to like that. I can almost guarantee it. This might be the end of the Act Now series. I'm not sure yet. I'll let you know. But in the meantime, I know I have asked y'all to leave comments. Please act now. Go over to the comments and leave one. Act now. Hit the like button. Act now. Send this to 5 friends. Act now. Organize a watch party. Invite 5 friends to the house and say, I want you to sit down and watch this episode with me. This whole season, Passion been talking about this. She been saying act now, and I just want to know where your antennas are. That's seizing the opportunity like we discussed in part 1, assembling everybody like we talked about in part 2, and calling out whatever needs to be addressed like we talked about in part 3. Go back to season 6.5 when we did emergency contacts. Make sure that your emergency contact is set up. Not the person you think is a little stupid, but someone well thought out and that you're in current communication with, ensuring that that friend that everybody can rely on has somebody that they can rely on, so if things go left, somebody can get it back right. No assuming they have their stuff in order. No assuming anyone is okay. Ask the questions. Confirm. Confirmation over assumption every day. Prevention over repair every day. Going forward, that's how we moving. Agreed? Good. I'm glad we had this talk. Listener letters, send them to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. Donations can be made via PayPal, Linktree, or Zelle. The description box has all of that information. When I started composing this episode, I was mid-renovation. I'm proud to say that aside from a few add-ons, your Get You Right Guru is done-ish, sort of, kind of renovating the studio. Clap for sort of. Until next time, meditate on what I told you today and then do something about it. You still have time, but it's not infinite. Go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Act now. Acknowledge where your mental health is. Acknowledge where your emotional health is. Acknowledge where your spiritual health is. Talk to somebody, preferably a professional who has the skill set and is equipped with tools for you, not just your friend who is also going through it. We're not looking for somebody to commiserate with. We're looking for somebody who can help us with correction. Hear what I'm saying? Go talk to someone so you can get yourself grounded and you can navigate these waters, because these waters are murky and we are in some kind of time and we're not going to be out these times anytime soon. Okay. I'm rooting for you. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you have the information that you need. What you do with it after that is on you, but I am rooting for you. In all things, be passionate. I'll see you later.